Chris Forsberg. Just finishing up 240SX, the most beloved drift car of all time. Here's some facts you might not have known about Nissan 240SX.
Fact 1. The 240SX has a ton of names. First things first, you have to know your chassis codes. The first chassis, the S13, debuted in 1988 as the 240SX in America, in both hatchback and coupe. In Japan, the hatchback was called the 180SX, and the coupe was the Silvia. Both were called the 200SX in Europe. The S14 debuted in 1995. It was still called the Silvia in Japan, the 200SX in most of the world, except in America, where it was the 240SX again. The S15 debuted in 1999, known as the Silvia in Japan, and the 200SX in Australia and New Zealand. Now you'd guess the S15 was called the 240SX in America, but you'd be wrong. The S15 was never sold in America, and is still illegal to own stateside. Fact 2. The 240 is perfect for drifting. Why? It's rear-wheel drive, cheap, lightweight, and well-balanced. An S13 could be purchased new for around 15 grand. A good condition used S13 cost under $1,000. Not anymore, but we'll get to that later. They weighed 2,700 pounds from the factory, and with a bit of weight reduction could get under 2,500, less than a Fiat. Its wheelbase isn't short and twitchy, but it's not too long and lazy either. Its 55-45 front-rear balance makes it easier to initiate and control drifting. Fact 3. Drift culture and the 240 came from Japan together. The Silvia became popular in early Japanese drift culture when the first Japanese drift magazines and videos hit the States. Americans started buying domestic 240s and modifying them into drift cars. It was relatively easy to swap in turbocharged engines from the Japanese domestic market, and the car's popularity spawned massive growth in aftermarket performance parts. Most of the first professional drifters in America have owned or driven a 240, and it continues to be a championship contending car more than 25 years after its release. Fact 4. Movies love the 240SX. In the original The Fast and the Furious, Letty, in a 1997 240, shows a guy in an FD RX-7 at Race Wars what she's got. In The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, the protagonist Sean gives an S15 Silvia, fondly nicknamed Mona Lisa, a missile car makeover while doing battle with a 350Z in a shopping mall parking garage. Bonus fact, this is the same mall used in Hoonigan Black Friday. The popular manga and anime, Initial D, features a number of Nissan Silvias, including a Sil 80 driven by Maka and Sayuki, an S13 Silvia driven by Iketani, an S14 Silvia driven by Kenta, and an S15 driven by Hiroya, among others. 240s can also be seen in the background of many movies and shows, such as Blank Check, Mrs. Doubtfire, Old School, Fear the Walking Dead, The Addams Family, Friday, Mrs. Doubtfire Again, The Mask, True Lies, Super Mario Bros. The Movie. Fact 5. The 240 had one of the first HUDs. The 1989 Nissan 240SX was one of the first cars to introduce the heads-up display. Unfortunately, the HUD units were problematic, and most of the cars on the road today have broken HUDs or have been resoldered by hand. Fact 6. The car was never marketed to the drifting community. I'd say about 75% of our sales are to single, better-educated women. They like the styling and it fits their needs better. The S14 appeared larger and added comfort features, and was marketed as a luxury sports coupe, despite actually being 2 inches shorter and having a stiffer chassis than the previous model. Fact 7. Want a 240SX? Be prepared to pay the drift tax. The once widely available, inexpensive, unmodified 240s are nearly gone. The Kelley Blue Book value on a good condition 1993 240SX is about $1,500, but a quick search shows that cars are actually going for 4 to 6 times that. This discrepancy has come to be known as the drift tax. Previously modified track-beaten 240s can be found for less, but still typically cost 2 to 3 times the Kelley Blue Book amount. There are other capable, inexpensive rear-wheel drive platforms that can be used to get into drifting, such as the BMW 3 Series and Ford Mustang, but neither have the vast drift-specific parts catalog available to 240SX owners yet. Fact 8. You can now legally own a Japanese Silvia in the US. Coveted Japanese market-only cars like the Silvia and Skyline have sometimes made their way to US shores, largely illegally, but driving one of these cars on the streets has been proven risky. A federal regulation basically says that if you try to import a car without filing the proper paperwork, proving it is over 25 years old, they will crush the car and potentially fine you a lot of money. Thankfully, you can now legally own a Nissan Silvia any number of ways, but the easiest is by going through an established importer who may already have cars in stock on American shores, or will be willing to help you find one for sale in Japan. Unfortunately, it will cost you. Fact 9. The next 240SX is a long way away. Since the death of the S chassis in 2002, there has been an outcry for Nissan to release another simple, inexpensive, lightweight rear-wheel drive platform. In 2013, Nissan revealed the IDX concept at the Tokyo Motor Show, featuring throwback styling and a rear-wheel drive chassis that aimed to be affordable and fun. Unfortunately, Nissan later announced that they couldn't see a cost-effective way to make it happen. Frankly, to do a platform for 50,000 to 60,000 units a year, it's not worth it. Gen Y and Gen Z is less interested in that kind of execution of a sports car. For a younger generation, the Juke is a much more profound way of going to market. Maybe it's time to let them know how we feel.
Well, thanks for watching, and make sure to click here to subscribe to Donut Media. And for more videos, you can click right over here. And if there's any other cars you want to learn about, make sure to leave them in the comments below.